For those of you currently working in or looking to get a job in SaaS, software as a service, it's really important for you to understand the growth metrics associated with your business model so that you can be more valuable to those around you, your customers, and the marketplace as a whole to maximize your income potential over the long run. In today's video, I'm talking about the 6 most essential growth metrics of any SaaS business. Although I'm a frontline salesperson, account executive, quarterly revenue target, I still like to be aware of what these mean, why they matter, and you should as well. If you enjoy content related to technology and working in sales, make sure to subscribe to the channel now. The number 1 metric is churn, and we can unpack churn as customer churn and revenue churn. Churn is essentially of the amount of customers you have, let's say 100, how many of those customers do you retain month over month, year over year? And then of course, revenue churn, similar thing. If you're making $100,000 each month, how much of that revenue do you sustain month over month and year over year? Churn is really important for SaaS companies that are a bit more immature and still growing. My company, for example, a large publicly traded SaaS company nearing 1 billion in revenue, we look at retention. Retention is a really important metric, and that's the percentage of customers you keep year over year, month over month, whatever you may be looking at. The higher, the better, and that's why companies invest significantly in support resources such as technical support ticketing systems in real time to reach a person or contact someone via email. And of course, customer success. For those of you who don't like the pressure of having a quota, a career in customer success is a really great way to work in technology and make a lot of money in the process. So number 1 growth metric is churn/retention rate. The number 2 metric is monthly recurring revenue, MRR, or ARR. Annual recurring revenue. For smaller SaaS companies, they may sell their product on a monthly basis. So for example, I'm selling you a survey software and you say, Trent, I'd love to buy it. You go online to purchase and you buy a monthly license that charges month over month. Think of Netflix. That's an MRR, that's a monthly recurring revenue model because each month you pay them $8, $10, $12, whatever it may be for that continuous subscription. For the SaaS companies that are more mature, they tend to do annual recurring revenue because it accelerates their run rate because they can assure future income, and it's much better for projections and overall driving more value. Because think about it, if you're charging a customer on a monthly basis, they could easily leave at some point month 6 or 7, whereas if they have to pay up front on an annual basis, then they're locked in and you're recognizing more value up front. If you're enjoying this video so far, make sure to drop a like on this video below. I had to just research and familiarize myself with these different metrics. What I've realized is that I need to become a learning machine in order to maximize my value in the marketplace, to increase my income and be more valuable to those around me. And I hope that through my learnings, I can add value to your life, whether it be entertainment or some sort of education. So make sure to help me out and drop a like on this video so more people can see it as well. The number 3 growth metric is CAC, C-A-C, cost of acquiring a customer. Think about you who may be working in sales just like me. In order to acquire a new customer, a company needs to invest in sales, marketing, whatever else it takes to go acquire new consumers, B2C, or businesses, B2B, to be their customers, to recognize the growth model of monthly or annual recurring revenue. Working in sales, I can speak to my experience on the front lines. I think I've onboarded a couple dozen customers now, and depending on the average sales price, so whether it be $18,000 or $1,000, that's going to have a big difference of the actual CAC and what goes into that. So just note that if your business model is more transactional, then you need to figure out how can you bring on customers at scale and reduce that cost. And then of course, if you're selling high ticket deals like 1,000 or above, then the cost of acquiring customers is most likely to go up substantially because you need strategic account executives like me to pay me the big bucks to go win those complex deals. The 4th metric is customer lifetime value. This one means essentially what is the average customer or account spending over the duration of their license or of them being a customer with you. Going back to metric number 1, retention and churn, we want a customer to stay a customer for as long as possible. We want them to consistently renew. We want the cost to acquire them to be as low as possible. We want to retain them year over year. And of course, we want them to maximize their spend. That's why customer lifetime value is so important, because if the cost of acquiring a customer is more than the cost you will recognize by having the customer, then your business model is not sustainable and you're not going to grow, which is one of the attributes of a SaaS company: big growth, high gross margins, and of course we love recurring revenue. And that brings us into metric number 5, which is expansion rate. So if customer A spends $10,000 year over year, we not only want them to renew, but we want them to be spending more year over year or month over month. So for example, at my company, we have a 5% annual license uptick that's built in. And being that we have such scale, that's incredibly meaningful when you think about a customer spending $10,000, 5% more. All of a sudden we're talking 500 more. All of a sudden we're talking 5,000 more when we upsell them, because we know that it's easier to upsell an existing customer than it is to acquire a new customer. So it's really important to factor that in as well. And then finally, the last metric is NPS, Net Promoter Score. This means how likely is your customer to recommend your product or service to a friend, to a colleague, to someone else. And we typically think about NPS on a 10-point scale, with 8 and 9 essentially being a strong promoter. Anything 6 and below, the customer is essentially either neutral or a detractor. And this is a measuring their experience using your product, their experience with your service. And all of these factors are going to play into your ability to organically acquire more customers, upsell existing customers, and continue to drive value to really increase revenue. Because the beautiful thing about SaaS is that there's unlimited leverage in the business model. And that's why I love working in SaaS. And that's why when I initially got into technology, I had no idea what any of this meant, and I didn't know it mattered, and it may seem complex, but once you start to apply yourself, you realize that SaaS is one of the best business models in the world, because unlimited leverage and scale, meaning the cost of delivery can exponentially grow, because it's not like you're importing shoes, because with importing shoes, there's fixed cost. Whereas with SaaS, there's the fixed costs associated with, of course, salaries, operations, developing the product. But once you start to sell it, you can sell it out to a global marketplace with the snap of a finger. That's really all it takes. Of course, as we look back to some of these metrics, CAC, customer acquisition cost, you want that to be low so that you can acquire more customers. But there's unlimited scale, and I love being able to pick up the phone. This is where I work as an account executive. I make well over $100,000 a year. In my mid-20s, I just turned 26. I've determined that 28 is when you officially reach your late 20s. So we still got time. I hope to actually start my own SaaS company one day. Really, what I plan to do, for those of you who are still with me, since from a YouTube standpoint, in case you care, the metrics I care about with YouTube are retention rate, which means average view duration. So of the people watching this video right now, how long do you actually watch? I land around 420 to 430. Right now we're at about 840. So statistically, most of you are still not with me. So for those of you still here, make sure to drop that fat like below and comment something down below for the algorithm. Comment emoji, comment what you learned, comment what you're thinking right now, whatever it may be. And the other metric I care about is click-through rate, which is of the people that see my title and thumbnail, what percentage of people actually click. I'm between 6 and 10%. And what I hope to do actually, now that we're in this now, is use this YouTube channel to build a community of like-minded driven people, salespeople, and then eventually start my own SaaS company one day that adds value to salespeople, so that I can come to you and say, I'm not trying to sell you anything right now, besides asking you to crush the like button on every video, but I will try and sell you something one day that will add value to your life. So hopefully the community of salespeople grows to the point where we can develop something, get it out to everyone. And the business model of SaaS, it gets me excited. I love it a lot. I enjoy talking about it, and I hope you learned something new today. I hope you got some sort of educational value. Really appreciate you spending about 10 minutes with me here today. Make sure to connect with me on LinkedIn if you haven't already. Would love to join networks. Perhaps we can work together someday, or I can refer you to a job or vice versa. happy to answer any questions you have at LinkedIn as well. And then of course, always here on YouTube, posting new videos here every day. Hope you come back to watch more, and I will talk to you in the next video.